Here we go now.
Welcome back to the Kempire channel. We have breaking news. The trial that we've been watching this entire year has finally come to an end. As you know, we already covered the Diddy trial, and we had special guest Kirsten Brown. We have a whole playlist for you guys so that you guys can get a full perspective on everything, both legally, commentary, everything when it comes to this Diddy trial. And we've been watching the sentencing today. It took all day for us to get to this final sentencing. And as we're following it, shout out to Inner City Press. You know, we'd like to cite our sources here on the channel. It's been an uphill climb, but I'll get to the point because I know you all have been waiting all day for the news on whether or not Diddy would face 20 years or the 11 years that the prosecution was actually seeking. As you know, he was cleared of the major charges. He was facing life in prison. However, sidebar, there are a few of you that still did not know that there was a trial. You remember someone was in the chat saying what happened with Diddy? Some of y'all don't know there was a whole trial this summer. Part of the reason why I just went on my first vacation of 2025 right now. And even on this vacation, Diddy, you owe me time at this particular point. Okay, it's not about me. But he was facing life in prison. He was only convicted of 2 charges, the prostitution charges, the Mann Act charges. Each charge had a max of 10 years. So he was facing almost 20 years in prison. However, the prosecution, which this was a bit of a loss for them because they did not get him on the RICO charges, which was a hard one to prove. Every attorney, both former prosecutors and defense attorneys, were saying, this is a very unique case. And a lot of people felt like the prosecution did not do what they needed to do to prove that what Diddy had done was create an enterprise of fear, extortion, a bunch of different aspects that would make it RICO. And the other element was the fact that usually if you're having a RICO charge or RICO case, you have multiple people involved. However, he was the only one on trial. We still haven't even heard from Christina Curran. KK, you do know who was at the courthouse today? Gina. She was set to testify, but she instead did that interview with paparazzi, backgrid that usually pay in order to get them to show up at a random Whole Foods. Then she wrote a letter, a character letter for him. So did Dallas Austin. So did Stephen Hill from BET. You remember that? Okay. I'm just giving you the full update. Okay. For those that did not watch any of our videos over the last few weeks, we don't talk about Diddy every single day like we did for the trial. But I did have a few updates in the last couple of weeks. So Gina was there today. Everybody was there. His entire family, his kids went on the stand. Not surprised. Some people did not expect that this was going to be a full day. They thought people were just going to go in. The judge would make his determination. But the judge has been pondering on this for weeks now. There have been a lot of back and forth through the legal system in regards to Diddy trying to have this case, have himself acquitted or a new trial. I know he did not want to go through another trial at all. But he's been sitting in the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn since he was arrested, which is over a year ago. But if you're just joining us, the judge finally today, after a long day of so many breaking things that came out of this trial, well, the sentencing day, including Diddy scheduled a speaking engagement for next week in Miami. And the guy that's organizing it spoke at the court today. This is not a tour. This is about healing. Okay, sir. Look, sure. That is what this is about. All right, I'll get to it for those that are just joining. I have to vamp a little bit, guys. No one was expecting me to go live right now, especially because it's very late here in Europe. Look, Europe, it's very late. I literally was falling asleep. I was falling asleep, but here I am. Diddy was sentenced to 50 months. 50 months, which is 4 years and 2 months in jail for the 2 charges that he was convicted of. We were a little scared, though, because I don't know if you guys saw, because the judge said one thing, and I'm sure he was probably like, wait, is he giving me, I think he said like 130 something months or something like that. But we'll get to what the judge had to say. But for those, if you want me to just get straight to the point, Diddy was sentenced to 4 years and 2 months in jail for the 2 charges that he was convicted of by the Southern District of New York. This is a major loss because we've talked about the Southern District of New York multiple times, from Jen Shaw to other cases. And they have a 97% conviction rate. So I guess Diddy fell within that 3%. That's pretty big, pretty major. But let me just let you know what's been playing out throughout the day, just to give you a summary of what's been playing out today in court, because I've been keeping notes throughout the day. Even though we went live and we were talking about Real Housewives of Miami earlier and their reunion, I've been keeping notes throughout the day just to be able to give you a full update and full video. And yes, I will take a couple of calls, but I'm not staying here long because it's late where I am. It's not late where you are, but it's late where I am. All right. So a few people took the stand. Or not took the stand, or spoke in court today. We got to get our legal mumbo jumbo back. We're back in court. So, including Diddy's kids. Diddy's kids also spoke today. Shout out to our friends over at the Shade Room, because they gave us a nice little summation of some of what was said. So, Quincy, as you know, who considers Diddy like a dad to him, they're not biologically connected. Quincy is the son of Albie Shore, who has spoken out publicly about Diddy even during this trial. Quincy spoke first and told the judge that Diddy is a changed man. He said, "We are going to love him through his struggles, but in front of you is a changed man." He also added, "Our father will never do anything to jeopardize his freedom." This is what Quincy said. They continue. Justin spoke next and said, "I ask that you give my father a second chance at life, a second chance to right his wrongs." Okay. Delilah and Jesse Combs, the twins, broke down as they spoke individually, pleading for the judge to release their dad. Jesse said, "We know he isn't perfect and he has made many mistakes, and we aren't here to excuse any of those mistakes. But Your Honor, he is still our dad and we still need him present in our lives." Delilah cried as she said, "We are scared of the thought of not having our dad and our mom present in our lives." So, Kim Porter passed away. "We are scared for our 2-year-old little sister that runs to us every night asking where daddy is. We cannot watch our baby sister grow up fatherless the same way that we had to grow up motherless." This is all about part of the process of the judge seeing that there is a real family connected to the situation. They need to know that there are people that are waiting for him. They want to pull at the judge's heartstrings. But please understand, you do not get to the position of a judge in this particular situation and be easily influenced by some of what played out in court today. His oldest daughter, Chance, tearfully spoke, bringing Diddy to tears as well. She said, "We are just daughters who need our father." Christian Combs also got emotional while speaking and told the court his dad is his superhero. Christian's the one that looks like him, King Combs. Okay, just for people that don't know. He said, "My whole life, he's always taught me to treat women with respect." This doesn't land the same when Christian Combs is, it's again, these are just allegations. I'm not saying that they're facts. It just doesn't land the same when you're being accused of similar behavior when it comes to women, not treating the best. So I don't know who wrote this statement. He says, "My whole life, he's always taught me to treat women with respect. I've seen him treat my mom with respect and treat her like a queen." The other part of that is, there are some serious, legitimate allegations that Diddy did not treat Kim Porter always with the utmost respect. Just gotta put it all out there because someone also put on my podcast reviews that I go light on Diddy, but I go heavy on Karen Huger and Kenya Moore. Probably someone from Team Twirl. Don't understand it. I don't care. Just wanted to point that out. Okay. Even though we've covered a lot of this. So that's what Christian said. The Judge Submaranian, Aaron Submaranian, acknowledged Diddy's children after they spoke. He said, I know how hard it was to stand up here and tell me those things, but it's important for me to hear." Okay. So he definitely took what they said into consideration. So during the day, one of the things that I noticed that happened, because there's so many steps to something like this, and I think for those that never covered a legal case, I mean, again, this is a very unique legal case, but if you never covered a legal case, there's just so many steps that go along with this. This wasn't you come there, people spoke, and then you leave. So our friends over at It's On Site wrote this. They said the judge has ruled that Diddy faces a guideline sentencing range of 70 to 87 months. So that's about 6 to 7 years in prison. It's important to note this when we talk about what he actually received. During today's hearings, the court overruled nearly all of Diddy's objections, stating that the acquitted conduct can still be considered at sentencing. The judge cited evidence of coercion, threats, and lack of remorse, while rejecting the defense attempts to downplay Cassie Ventura, Jane, and others as victims. The court also noted that Diddy's claim that he was, quote, paying for time, not sex, was contradicted by reality. With the guideline now set, his final sentence will be announced. Well, we already know at this particular point, but this was important for you to know what we were dealing with coming into the sentencing. The judge says, no, we're going to honor, based off of the guidelines, 70 to 87 months, which is 6 to 7 years. Okay. As I'm doing this, guys, I just want to remind you, if you haven't already, an easy and free way of supporting me would be liking the video because it is late here in the Europe cities. For those that know what I'm talking about, we're being facetious. I know it's European cities. Calm down. We got probably a bunch of new people here. Be sure to subscribe as well if you haven't already. I do want to say thank you already for the super chats. We appreciate you. Opinions by Onyx says, my first super chat, of course, goes to Kempire. Much love from Jersey. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Thank you. Future MD. Thank you so much for the super chat. I met Future MD. Oh, you sent another one. Future MD, thank you for another super chat. It said, congrats on 550,000. What a milestone. Hope you're getting well-deserved rest. I was falling asleep but I was falling asleep, but keeping my ears to the street because I was like, oh, verdict's in. Let's go. So, and here we are. So I said I would go live. At first, I was just going to do a video, but I said, let me go live. Well, we went live when he got arrested. We went live when he got a verdict. Here we are. Green Yoshi. If you're a particular age, you understand why. Green Yoshi says, some experts say it breaks down to 2.5 years. Well, we're going to get into that. I think we all understand him being sentenced to 50 months doesn't mean that he will be serving 50 months. I believe with federal federal cases, you have to serve at least 85%. And you already see with good behavior what's happening with Jen Shaw from Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. For those that aren't familiar, you're just familiar with Diddy. She also was convicted by, well, not convicted. She took a plea deal. She took a plea deal from the Southern District of New York. She's over there in federal prison with Ghislaine Maxwell and that blood lady. Yeah, her sentence. I forgot how many years she was serving. They've been cutting, like, every other month. They're cutting off time off of her sentence. So now she's getting out next year. So I don't believe Diddy will serve all of that time. Plus, Diddy has already served over a year now. He will not be leaving a free man today, though. We already have told you that Diddy's legal team have been in contact with Donald Trump for a full presidential pardon. With Diddy's ego, Diddy is not going to want to stay another day in prison. So he has a few options: the pardon or appealing this. But how long is the appeal process going to be? How long is the I gotta text Kirsten, like, how long would the appeal process? Would it even be worth it at this particular? Yes, the Theranos chick. Thank you, Kim. I always forget her name. The Theranos, the blonde with the weird voice. She's at the same jail as Ghislaine and Jen Shaw. All right. Okay. For those that are just joining us, we had the breaking news. Diddy has been sentenced to 50 months. That's 4 years and 2 months in jail. However, we do not believe that he'll be serving all of that. Highly doubt that. What we did find out earlier today during this hearing, Diddy was almost attacked in jail with a makeshift knife. His legal team has to come out with all the excuses as he is not safe at the Metropolitan Detention Center. He's been there a year and he's been okay. Just saying. Elizabeth Holmes. Yes. Thank you, Blossoming Talent. We are working together. Yes, Angel. Thank you. Yes, her name is Elizabeth Holmes. I don't know why I don't remember that, because I love the documentary on her. Very interesting how people are so gullible. But we've digressed. Let me get back into, because I've been taking notes throughout the day, guys. I've been taking notes. Okay. So right before the judge called for a break, prosecutors picked apart Diddy's letter to the judge, because that was the other element. This is one of the part of the story that I did not get into in the last couple of weeks. Diddy's letter to the judge. So he also wrote a letter to the judge. Apparently so did 50 Cent, but that wasn't real. That wasn't real. Let me just read to you the letter that Diddy wrote. He also spoke during the hearing today. But on October 2nd, which was yesterday, Diddy wrote a letter to the judge saying, "Dear Judge Submarinian, I hope this letter finds you well and in good health and spirits. Thank you for the opportunity to express my thoughts to you. First and foremost, I want to apologize and say how sincerely sorry I am for all of the hurt and pain that I have caused others by my conduct. I take full responsibility and accountability for my past wrongs. This has been the hardest 2 years of my life, and I have no one to blame for my current reality and situation but myself. In my life, I have made many mistakes, but I am no longer running from them. I am so sorry for the hurt that I caused, but I understand that the mere words "I'm sorry" will never be good enough, as these words alone cannot erase the pain from the past. It should be noted, Cassie has written a letter as well to the judge, along with some other people that do not feel safe if Diddy is released. I'm sure right now the victims of Diddy feel like this is not what they expected. They actually probably expected, because he was facing life in jail before he was convicted, and the fact that he didn't get that, I'm sure they were very disheartened by that. Let me continue in regards to this. So Diddy continues in his letter to the judge. Over the past 13 months, I have had to look in the mirror like never before. My pain became my teacher. My sadness was my motivator. I had to admit my downfall was rooted in my selfishness. The scene and images of me assaulting Cassie play over and over in my head daily. I literally lost my mind. I was dead wrong for putting my hands on the woman that I loved. I'm sorry for that and always will be. My domestic violence will always be a heavy burden that I will have to forever carry. The remorse, the sorrow, the regret, the disappointment, the shame. I honestly feel sorry for something that I couldn't forgive someone else for. If they put their hands on one of my daughters, this is why it's so hard for me to forgive myself. It is like a deep wound that leaves an ugly scar. Your Honor, I thought I was providing for Jane concerning her and her child, but after hearing her testimony, I realized that I hurt her. For this, I am deeply sorry. I lost my way. It should be noted Jane, who testified, documented that he physically assaulted her in the last year. She was still dating him. I don't know if he's still paying for her rent, but when she testified, he was still paying her rent and paying for her attorney. He says, I lost my way. I got lost in my journey, lost in the drugs and the excess. My downfall was rooted in my selfishness. I have been humbled and broken to my core. Jail is designed to break you mentally, physically, and spiritually. Over the past year, there have been so many times that I wanted to give up. There have been some days I thought I would be better off dead. The old me died in jail, and a new version of me was reborn. Why does this sound like he is going to have a whole musical and branding, a whole new rebranding at this particular? This is what it's sounding like to me. He says there have been some days that I thought that I would be better off dead. The old me died in jail, and a new version of me was reborn. Prison will change you or kill you. I choose to live. Okay. So that was his letter. That was his letter to the judge. However, shout out to, again, because we cite our sources here. Shout out to Inner City Press, along with covering so many other legal cases. He has been covering this case since the beginning as well, and providing information to those of us that can't be in the courtroom, providing us with some of his synopsis, because I don't want to say that it's a direct word for word of what's happening in court. So AUSA Slavic said the video from the LA hotel was played many times at trial, and it never got easier. As to Jane, he punched her, he slapped her a little over a year ago when he knew he was under federal investigation. At trial, they said they owned the violence. Admitting to violence in front of the jury as a part of a trial strategy is not accountability. Freak-offs were extended performances of sexual degradation, and humiliation. Cassie and Jane did not want to have sex with strangers. He made them do it. He had an escort relieve themselves, I'm changing words around, in Cassie's mouth until she choked. Her victim impact statement makes clear she still has nightmares and flashbacks and the scars on her body. Jane's text makes clear her anguish and trauma. Mia, look, it's been so long since we covered this trial. We forgot there were other victims too. Mia said that she got PTSD and anxiety. Deontay Nash, who's also suing him civilly now, said that he was caused lasting damage. Capricorn Clark, you remember his former assistant, said that he blacklisted her once she spoke up. Chef Jordan Atkinson, who I believe was being considered to testify, she ended up not testifying. However, she did speak out on social media, and she wrote a letter to the judge asking the judge to keep him in jail. So Chef Jordan Atkinson wrote how she was impacted. It was real and serious. He downplays the abuse, calling it, quote, rare, but it was not rare. Cassie's testimony was that he was violent with her at any time. It was not mutual. You saw no photos of the defendant with injuries. He blames doctors for prescriptions. He pretends he is the victim. He hasn't accepted responsibility for his criminal conduct. The information provided to his expert was incomplete. He will pose a danger at any age. He choked Jane at 54 years old. This is the AUSA Slavic speaking. Remember, Maureen Comey was fired because of this administration. James Comey's daughter, yeah. And she was also the lead attorney on the case against Diddy. So they continue. Prostitution causes other problems. It happens out of public view. General deterrence is needed. Send a message to all victims and to the public that this defendant's crimes are serious. You could encourage or discourage abusers. So what do you guys think? Now that if you're just joining us, Diddy has been sentenced to merely 50 months in jail, which is 4 years and 2 months. He will more than likely not serve any of that. Well, not any of that. He's already served over a year, but he won't serve the full 4 years. AUSA says at least 135 months are necessary. So the judge then takes a break. All right. So that was one of the things that I saved for you guys. So Diddy spoke out before the judge delivered his sentence. Diddy did speak out. Shout out to our friends over at the Shade Room. Diddy said this to the judge. I want to thank you for giving me the chance to finally speak up for myself. One of the hardest things that I've had to handle is having to be quiet, not being able to express how sorry I am for my actions. Because remember, it's his right. He could have testified during his trial, but in the best interest, we talked about this with Kirsten Brown, it was in his best interest not to testify. And he did decide not to testify, despite his attorney, when being interviewed by TMZ before the trial even started, saying, I don't know if I'll be able to keep him off the stand. But he decided not to, which was probably for the best, because you see how it turned out. Diddy continues in his statement during his sentencing today. He says, I want to personally apologize again to Cassie Ventura for any harm or hurt that I've caused her emotionally or physically. I would like to apologize to her family. I'm so sorry. I would also like to apologize to Jane. I didn't mean to hurt you. I'm sorry that I brought you into my mess. Do you believe him? Let me ask the crowd of you that are here. Do you believe Diddy in these statements that he's made? In the statement that he wrote in the letter that he wrote to the judge before the sentencing, or the statement that he made in court today? So he continues in his statement to the judge. Domestic violence will always be a heavy burden that I will have to forever carry. Diddy said his actions were, this is what he said about his actions. They were disgusting, shameful, and sick. He says, I was sick from the drugs. I was out of control. I will say, to give him some credit, not credit, to give him some grace in regards to this. Now that he's been in jail and he's been sober for about over a year, I wouldn't doubt that he had some sort of clarity. Now that you have a clear mind, because the way we were talking about the amount of drugs that he was doing over the last 20, maybe 30 years, now you're probably clean for the very first time for this long period of time. You got to have some sort of clarity. Not Quintella said, not ChatGPT. They have access to ChatGPT in jail. I'm sure his lawyers do, though, and I'm sure they reviewed what he was going to say in court. So Diddy said about his own actions. He said that his actions were sick. He said that his actions were disgusting and shameful. He says, I was sick from the drugs. I was out of control. And he also addressed his kids. Diddy said, I hate myself right now. I got stripped down to nothing. I want to apologize to my 7 children. Y'all deserve better. Diddy then turned to his mother. Okay, did y'all see Janice Combs' wig in court today? Like, come on. Like, there are court wigs. That was not the one, Janice. That was not the one. I'm sorry, I had to say it. We got to have some levity of humor when that was not the wig. That was the like, oh, we're going to go party after this kind of wig. Ooh. Okay, but all right. So he says, I hate myself right now. I got stripped down to nothing. I want to apologize to my 7 children. Y'all deserve better. Diddy then turned to his mother and he said that he failed her as a son. He concludes his address to the judge, the court, during his sentencing just a moment ago. He says, I ask your honor for the chance to be a father again. I ask your honor for the chance to be a son again. I ask your honor for the chance to be a leader in my community again. I ask your honor for a chance to get the help that I desperately need to become a better person, because I don't want to let God down. I don't want to let my family down. So that's what Diddy had to say before the judge came down with his sentence, which was 50 months. 50 months in jail. So let's see if they gave us any clarity in regard. Okay, let me actually go to shout out again to our friends over at Inner City Press on X. They had what the judge said here. So I just want to kind of see. Let me get back down to what the judge was saying here. And for those that are just joining us, keep liking the video. It's an easy and free way of supporting the channel. Matter of fact, let me just see what you guys are saying. Thank you so much, Chastity, for the super chat. Chastity says, I didn't want to hear this breakdown from anyone else but you. Thank you, Chastity. You're the best. Hey, Kempire from Atlanta. Enjoy your well-deserved vacation. Thank you. Well, maybe my vacation can actually start after today because this has been looming over me like it's my court case. Right, Tina Bean? Come on. She could have had a better court wig. Pamela said he can be a father in prison. People do it every day. Yes. I mean, yes, not ideally, I'm sure. But yes, you're right. You're right. Damn. Okay. So the judge. So this is how the judge started. Okay. So the judge says, hold on, let me see. Let me go back up here. And again, shout out to Inner City Press for this. So Judge Submarinian started off his address before giving his sentence to Diddy. And he says, at the outset, I want you to understand, Mr. Combs, you are not being sentenced for acquitted conduct. But under 3553, I must consider many things. Mr. Combs, you are a self-made artist who has inspired community of color. We saw the video. The free game course in the MDC. The court hopes you continue to expand it. You are devoted to your family. The court, of course, considers the collateral consequences. The court has to consider all of your history here. That's important. The judge continues and he says, a history of good works can't wash away the record in this case. You abused these women. You use that abuse to get your way, freak-offs and hotel nights. The evidence of the abuse is massive. I was sitting right here during the testimony. This is Judge Aaron Submarinian speaking. The judge says this was subjugation. That is the reality of what happened. These offenses irreparably harmed 2 women. Actually, it was more. But he has to focus on the 2 charges he was convicted of. You plied them with drugs. Why did it happen so long? You had the power and resources to keep it going. You are more than a John. For those that don't know what John is in regards to prostitution, just so you understand. I don't want to assume everyone knows this lingo. The judge says, you were more than a John. A significant sentence is required to deter. You say you're sorry and you won't do it again. After Ms. Ventura's civil lawsuit was filed, after the video was public and the investigation started, you had a brutal hotel night with Jane, punched her in the head. The judge continues. He says, Jane says that he told her, take this pill, go out there and oh, wait, the judge said this in court? Suck his D? F him? Did the judge actually say these words? Yes, he did. So the judge says Jane says that he told her, take this pill, go out there, suck his D, F him, and I don't care. The court is not convinced that this would not happen again. The court has considered the programs. They are outweighed by the trial record in this case. Exploitation and violence against women must be met with real accountability. Can we say this again? Exploitation and violence against women must be met with real accountability to promote respect for the law. The court reaches a few conclusions. 135 months would be more than necessary. That was what the prosecution was seeking, 11 plus years. So he says 135 months would be more than necessary. A sentence over 11 years is not reasonable. Even the probation department recommends a sentence, because remember, the judge has to consider a, a lot of things here. So that's why he has to really cover himself. He says the probation board, because the other element, and I learned this from working with Kirsten Brown and covering cases like this, depending on what he decides, these things are going to come up during appeal. There were a few things that we saw that the defense were bringing up during the trial so that they could bring it up later for appeal. So the judge, I got to read this again. The judge says exploitation and violence against women must be met with real accountability to promote respect for the law. The court reaches a few conclusions. 135 months would be more than necessary. A sentence over 11 years is not reasonable. Even the probation department recommends a sentence less than half of that. But 14 months time served would not be sufficient. So he's saying the amount of time that Diddy has served is still not enough. So the judge continues and he says here, the data shows a wide variety of sentences, weighing all the relevant factors. You know, Diddy had to be like shaking in his boots when he heard the judge say, the court reaches a few conclusions. 135 months would be more than necessary. Okay. And then he says a sentence over 11 years, is not reasonable. Even the probation department recommends a sentence less than half of that, but 14 months time served would not be sufficient. Here, the data shows a wide variety of sentences. Weighing all the relevant factors, the court determines that the sentence is 50 months of incarceration, 4 years and 2 months. So I want to see what else was said in court after he read the sentence. Let me just refresh because I'm sure there was more said. Hold on 1 second. Let me just go back down here. So the judge then talks to Diddy's attorney. He says, Mr. Agnifilo, any recommendations were to where to serve the sentence? Mr. Agnifilo says, can we get back to you by Monday now that we know that there is a sentence? The judge says yes. The court imposes a fine of $500,000, including to defray the cost of imprisonment. There is no restitution, but there is a forfeiture as reflected in the order. There is a $5,000 fine under the statute and special assessment $200. He got it. Sidebar, y'all do know his private jet he was renting out and apparently allegedly was making several $1,000,000 while in jail. Even though during the sentencing, he was talking about how his businesses have been falling apart. He's lost so many partnerships and things like that. But that private jet has been private jetting people and making millions, allegedly. The judge says, I want to speak to the strong women who came forward, Ms. Ventura and Jane. You've been through trauma we can't imagine. Ms. Ventura said it was forced sex and degradation. I want to say, we heard you. You weren't just speaking to the jurors, but to other victims. You stood up to power. It's not easy. Violence behind closed doors doesn't have to stay secret forever. I know you still bear trauma, but you've taught us you don't have to stay a victim. As Dr. King, oh, now he can quote Dr. King. He says, as Dr. King taught us, out of the mountain of despair, a stone of hope. Mr. Combs, your mom writes that you have always been a good son. The same power that enabled you to hurt these women, you could use to help. Wow. Court adjourned. Come on. I wish I had my hand emoji, my clap hand emojis. Wow. I got respect for Judge Aaron Submaranian. I know, and you guys will let me know, do you think 4 years was enough? I'll tell you, I don't think 4 years was enough, but I really did not think he was going to get 20 years. Honestly, I didn't think he was going to get 10 years. I really was seeing like 5 years. 5, 6, maybe 7 years. So we could feel, yeah, this definitely wasn't enough. But this might be just a failure of the Southern District of New York and the type of charges that they brought against him. No one's saying what Diddy did was right. What this case revealed was that he was a terror behind the scenes for years. And a lot of things were confirmed. Some small things were debunked during this trial, but a lot of things were confirmed about his behavior. So let me also give you an update in regards to what Diddy might serve, because speaking of ChatGPT, I had to kind of piece together some things. So so Diddy is sentenced to 50 months, which is 4 years and 2 months in federal prison. The exact time that he would actually serve would depend on several factors, according to ChatGPT. Good conduct credit, which in federal prison typically allows a prisoner to reduce their term up by 54 days per year. So about 15% off. So he still has to serve 85%. Anytime that he has already been in custody, pretrial detention, which has been 13 months, would generally be credited towards his sentence. Can we all start doing the math for me? Could someone do the math in the chat? Oh, no, they did the math for me. Never mind. I'm going to love this for a second. All right. Potential credits for participation in certain prison programs. This is what's happened with Jen Shaw and why she's getting out next year. Certain prison programs, like those drug and rehabilitation programs. Potential credits for participation. He could be out tomorrow based off of this. Potential credits for participation in certain prison programs are reductions under other rules. So a rough estimate, this is a rough estimate, 50 months equals 4 years and 2 months. Subtracting 15% for good behavior gives you 42.5 months, which is 3.5 years. Okay. If he's already spent, say, 10 months in pretrial, we know it's been over a year, that would reduce the remaining to 32.5 months, which is 2 years and 7 months. Thus, so that means even less. So they're probably like 2 years in, let's say that's 2.5 years. Okay, we'll do that. Thus, under scenario, he might serve around 2.5 to 3.5 years more, depending on credits and behavior. So I just don't see Diddy spending that much time based off of he's already served over a year. If he joins any of these programs, which he will, he also has reached out to President Donald Trump for a presidential pardon. So he could literally be out in the next few months. I believe Donald Trump said that he was waiting to see what the verdict would be, or not the verdict, what the sentencing would be, what the judge decides, and then he would consider the options. Yeah, probably how much money you're going to give me, or what will you give me in return for this? Shad says he's probably going to seek a pardon. He already is. That has already been confirmed by his legal team that they have been in contact with the Trump administration about a full presidential pardon. Ray says that he's going to be out in 2027. He could be out in 2027, or he could be out at the end of the year. He could be out before Christmas. And the reason why I say that, because if he gets a pardon, that could happen. April says he needs no pardon or parole. I mean, you speaking to the choir over here. All right, I'm going to drop the call-in link for our members. If you're a member of the channel, I'm going to drop that for you guys on the community tab. Okay, so mods, can you let me know how many likes we have as well? That way I can garner what we need to in order to, we have over, shout out to all of you that are here, and shout out to those of you watching the replay of this. I want to know your thoughts. Do you think that this was enough? And if you think that it is enough, tell me why. If you think that it wasn't enough, how much time do you think that he should have gotten? Again, I think when I spoke with Kirsten, she said that the judge really could have given him a lot more time. Could have definitely given him a lot more time. Foxy says, nope, not enough. Oh, thank you, Fifi. Let's get to 1,000 likes, guys. Let's get to 1,200 likes. Let's get to 1,200 likes. Liking the video is easy and free. I will also post the audio of this live on the Kempire podcast. If you didn't know, we do have a podcast. Subscribe today. I also put out exclusive content on the podcast, Club Kempire. That's where we have the Kempire After Dark live from Philly. We just posted that. There's a free 3-day trial as well. So be sure to check that out. If you're a member, I did drop the call link on the post tab here on YouTube. Shout out to those of you that are watching on Twitch, Twitter, and on Facebook. I see you guys. We're live on the Kempire Daily and TheKempire on Facebook. And make sure you're following me. And if you like my skincare, look, if you like my skincare routine, this is all Butter, Black-owned business, Butter. You can find my skincare, a collaboration with Butter on my TikTok shop at TheKempire. Go follow me there, but also go check out my TikTok shop. Sidebar, we will be getting off of TikTok though at some point because they're changing ownership and I'm not liking it. Not liking it at all. But okay. All right. Let's see. Okay. Mods, if you can keep me, shout out to Foxy. I don't know if we have any other mods in the building. Let me know when we reach our goal of 1,200 likes, please. All right. Thank you. That Harlem chick says, I use Butter. Also love it. And I brought it on vacation with me too. Okay. Tanya says that he's not remorseful. Matter of fact, guys, this is the one thing about StreamYard that I like. I can have the comments show up. I wish I could make it bigger though. All right. That way you guys can see your comments for those that are watching on other platforms as well. And we are also live on Twitch. So make sure you guys are following us on Twitch, twitch.tv/TheKempire. I had to think about that. Thank you, Jenna. Oh, there goes Jenna. All right, I see you. I see you guys. All right, let's bring up our first call. Shout out to those of you that are members. We appreciate it. To become a member, head on over to TheKempire.com/join, and we appreciate your monthly support. Let me bring up Toya first. Toya, what did you want to share?
Hey, Kempire.
Hey,
Good to talk
long
to you
time no speak.
again. Wow, the whole Diddy situation. I'm glad that he's not getting out right away. I think the speaking engagement, like if I was the judge, I would personally be pissed off because now you're really playing in my face.
Yeah,
Especially because you may have been convicted of, something, but in my opinion, you should have been convicted of a lot more. But anyway, we will go with what we have. But you are lucky. But to think like speak like that is crazy to me. I
right.
know
Like,
his
why not
family.
wait till after the sentencing?
Right. Right. Because guess what? Everybody's going to be trying to talk to you. All of the big media outlets are going to be reaching out. So you don't need to do that. It ain't like he need the money. Like it just shows like there was no remorse there.
Yeah,
Mm-mm. And I don't think he was remorseful because they said that he had the baby oil and, the DRUGS in the hotel room
no, yeah,
when they caught him.
yep,
So it was like, even when all the stuff came out with Cassie's lawsuit and you knew you were under investigation and you were preparing to surrender, you was still doing that. You were trying to get your last little licks in.
yep.
So it's like, were you really stopping? I don't know. And he tried to lie to us and tell us that all that stuff Cassie said was fake. Yeah, I think he's embarrassed, but we know that the world will move on. And when he gets out, he will probably rebrand because he is good at that.
Yeah.
And
I felt like that was in the letter.
oh, yes. Oh, yeah, it's coming. He probably going to rebrand as a man of God and all this type of stuff, which he already tried to do. But
Mm-hmm.
eh, I hope that people are at least a little bit satisfied that he's got to wait a little bit longer, but he probably will only serve another year, to be honest.
And we have to also remember he's also facing multiple civil lawsuits.
Oh, yeah.
So the headache of it all, yes, he doesn't have his freedom, but the headache of it all is still there.
And that's a lot of money just to shell out for legal fees all the
I mean,
time.
fighting this case alone was several $1,000,000. I don't know how much he ended up paying this team of lawyers, but he's spending millions.
Yeah.
All right,
What a
Toya.
mess. All right, you be safe out there and continue to show us your travel adventures.
I'm in another country, so I'm safe from Diddy.
Yes, you are.
Y'all stay safe out there.
I know. We stuck in the U.S. Kempire. But I'll
I
be
mean,
on
y'all
that side of the pond soon, okay? So,
okay. My thing is, y'all don't even have to worry about Diddy. It's your president that y'all got to worry about. But okay,
hey, you coming back over here now, ain't you? So don't you?
we'll see. All right, thanks, Toya.
We'll see. Bye, Kempire.
All right, Judgy Justice is backstage. Judgy Justice, what did you want to share?
Hey, I just wanted to share. Well, hi, Taurus brother. It's been a while.
I know.
Um, but I'm talking to Kempire. Leave me alone. Um, he's used to it. I was gonna say that I just feel bad for the victims of the crimes, just because, especially the witnesses had to go share those humiliating facts for none of it to be as impactful as it did. I mean, it was impactful because he did get at least 5 years, like
Yeah.
50 months, whatever it ends up being. But I just think it just sets a bad precedent for these types of crimes, because
Yeah.
now, because it took them a long time to even research what was the statute in New York for this,
Mhm.
to even come up with these numbers that they have for that 2 years to 11 years range. And I think it's just going to be more troubling for future victims, especially right now, as we have a lot more people that have the courage to call out these wrongs from powerful people. And then I just think for all those people that spoke out continuously, if not on the stand but on those podcasts and stuff, y'all got 3-4 years to pack up your stuff and run. I'm just gonna say it. I would be running. I'd be packing up, selling everything. You get this. You take the dog. I won't even want to take the dog with me because they may be a hack the tracker. I don't know. But that's my thoughts on it. Thank you, Kempire.
Thank you, Judgy Justice. Um, okay, Lexa Bro, I like that. Kept talking like he ain't coming back to the US is making me laugh. You never know. Teresa, thank you for Teresa. I was wondering how many years of probation that he ended up getting. We did talk about the judge saying that he will have to pay $500,000, but plus some other court fees. We talked about that, but also 5 years probation. I haven't confirmed this, but this is what Teresa is saying. I knew he had to get some sort of probation, but I didn't see that being said. But yeah. All right, mods, can you just let me know? Have we reached our 1,200? I may have missed it. All right, let me bring up Amy J. Amy J, what did you want to share?
Hey y'all, hey Kempire.
Hey.
How y'all doing? Okay, so look, call me a softie, but I was in tears when the kids were crying. So I,
Oh, I think that's okay. I was about to say, like, what are you about to say right now, Amy?
no. I mean, I'm happy for them to see. They'll be able to see their father again. Because
Mm,
I, even though I don't listen, I think he's a sociopath and narcissist. But I think the one bit of his emotional capabilities is for his children, and I
mm,
think that's something he probably would need to kind of like, I guess, thaw him out in this situation. Maybe it won't make him like looking for folks. Maybe he will focus on the new baby love and all the rest of that stuff. So the
mm,
things that he's saying, I do look at it with a side eye, but I really do think that the kids do miss him. And that was the thing that kind of took me a little bit. I was like, oh no, not the babies. They didn't pull the babies out. And I'm in here crying, reading the little notes. I mean, reading on the Twitter.
yeah.
So that's the only thing I would say positive about the end of the story. Well, can beginning for some people. Outside of all that, I really hope that he does get the help and get off those drugs. I don't know how much effort he's going to put into that, because
Mm,
he said he was on drugs for 25 years, and that's really concerning. I did not know that man was doing drugs more than some people's ages.
mm.
So that's one of the things I paid attention to when he was saying that. And outside of that, I mean, I think his mama just had brain surgery or something, they said. So give her grace
Get
with
some help. Get
with
some
that
help.
tack, yeah, with the tacky wig. Give her grace, because I mean maybe she's not functioning fully to the capabilities to make style choices. So outside of that, I mean the trial was interesting. I learned a lot about guidelines and all the rest of that stuff. That was the most interesting part about the trial. But outside of that, I'm waiting to see what can come out of this. I would like to see Cassie do something with her, make some music, try to speak out for women, those types of things. We can't really control Diddy and his storyline. He's always in his head. So I'm just looking for stuff like that at this point.
Mm. Okay. All right, Amy.
Have a nice one.
You too. All right. Angie said Inner City Press is a real one. Grateful for their coverage on the Diddy and many other cases. Yes, most definitely. Um, Doran says, Hi Cam, do you think Donald Trump will pardon him? I think it will depend on what he wants from Diddy. And I do think it will be very transactional. I don't think it would be what we normally would do for a presidential pardon. He will want something transactional, I believe. I'm not saying that's what's happening, but I believe if Donald Trump, if it's Donald Trump, if it's going to benefit him, that's why part of me thinks like he could be out before Christmas, y'all, if he gets that presidential pardon. K. Avery says Kempire might find his billionaire husband while on vacation. God works in mysterious ways. Let's co-create that, K. Avery. You never know. It could be a random meeting in an airport and be like, oh, let's go to Thailand. I'm like, I gotta work. I'll pay for it. Okay. All right. Okay. T says that, did you hear what Diddy said about Donald Trump? I would be shocked. Well, Donald Trump did talk about that when asked. He was like, he didn't really have the best things to say about me when I started into politics. So, but Donald Trump can be bought, I think, in my opinion. I feel like he could be bought. Okay. All right. Let me bring up Cynthia next. Cynthia, what did you want to share?
Hi, Kempire. How you doing?
Oh, well, how are you?
I'm fine. How's your vacation going?
Good, but I'm here working.
Oh, well, we appreciate your commentary, Kempire. Honestly, I'm not surprised that he got time because the judge kept denying his bail. So I knew that he was going to get some type of time.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's better than being sentenced to 11 years. I mean, he'll probably, like you said, he'll probably be out sooner. I do feel bad for his kids. And I mean, it's just, I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah. All
It's
right,
what it
Cynthia. Is that it?
That's it. I hope he shows remorse and he's rehabilitated soon.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Cynthia.
Thank you, Kempire. Have a good one.
You too. All right, y'all. I did drop the call-in link, but it's okay if y'all don't want to call in and share your thoughts. This was just breaking news. I wanted to come here and let you guys know if you're just joining us. Diddy has been sentenced to 50 months in federal prison by the judge, even though the prosecution was seeking like 70 to 87 months, which is over 11 years in jail. I feel like this was a huge loss for the prosecution. They weren't able to get him on the bigger charges, and now they weren't even able to even get half of what they were seeking in regards to sentencing. This has been a major loss for them. But look, I am no expert. I'm not an attorney. I've just spoken to a lot of attorneys over the years, and specifically when it comes to this case. And they weren't convinced. They weren't 100% convinced that the prosecution was able to do what they needed to do in order to get him on those charges. And maybe I don't know if I asked this because we did a collaboration with Kirsten Brown. If you missed it, even after watching everything play out, it's still very educational to listen to our conversation because there was a lot. And I can't remember if I asked her if she were to charge Kirsten. I know you'll watch this. If it was her, like if she wanted to bring a charge against Diddy, what charges would she bring? And if you're an attorney, please feel free to weigh in the comment section. If you were bringing a case against Diddy, maybe you wouldn't even bring it on the federal level. A lot of people said that it should have been brought on the state level, domestic charges, domestic violence charges. I think that was the major fail here. And their case kind of fell apart with some of their witnesses or some of the witnesses that they weren't able to have, like Gina, who was actually in court today. Gina was in court today. Mind you, she had allegedly disappeared on the prosecution. Yeah. I don't know what to tell y'all. All right, guys, I'm going to get out of here. It's been almost an hour. If you haven't liked the video already, be sure to like the video. The audio version of this will be available on the podcast. So if you're not subscribed to the podcast, this would be your opportunity to subscribe to the podcast. Fifi, the warrant out for Tyrese. Apparently he has responded to the warrant and turned himself in. I think he was already out on bond in regards to animal cruelty. I don't know what's going on. Apparently his dog attacked and killed another dog. Yeah, it's a full moon in just a couple of days. So here we are. Okay. All right. Anyway, I appreciate you all being here. Be sure to follow me here. If you're not following me here on YouTube, make sure you're following me on Instagram. If you want to know a little bit more about my trip and what I'm doing, I'm posting pictures here and there. So I'm going to go rest up. It's pretty late here. All right. I'll see you guys later. Thank you to our King's Guards. Thank you to our channel members. Thank you to our subscribers. Thank you to our new subscribers. If you're a new subscriber and you're watching the replay of this, let us know in the comment section. Thank you all for being so lovely in the live chat. We appreciate you guys. I hope you guys have a great rest of your Friday and weekend. The weekend is here and Diddy is still in jail, at least for now. Stay tuned. As always, we don't just cover Housewives reality television here on the channel. We cover everything in pop culture. So make sure you are subscribed and your notifications are on. Okay. Fifi, we talked about Kardashian suing Ray J. Check out some of our most recent videos and podcasts. Everyone have a great evening. Thank you so much for watching and for listening. Bye, y'all.
Here we go now. Here we go.